we're back.
Well, welcome back to the Whitfield Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting, and this is the second segment, so welcome back from our commercial break. Even though we didn't really have any commercials, but we're working on that right now. As always, you can contact me. The easiest way to do that is to follow me on Twitter at SamW_NGC, hashtag WA Radio Show. You can call the voicemail line at 941-564-5805. You can join us in the Spreaker chat room if you search for the Whitfield Analysis with Sam Whitfield. And you can also go to thesamwhitfield.com, where you can find a bunch of cool stuff, including archives of the show and my semi-daily blog. I say semi-daily because I try to blog. I blog almost every other day, but not quite every day. So, anyway, before the intermission, I began talking about why Donald Trump aggravates me, and I played a clip from Ben Shapiro basically saying that Donald Trump is a con man, which is true. Donald Trump, I hate to break it to you folks, is not a conservative. He's not a libertarian at all. And in fact, one of my favorite conservative libertarians will be joining us after I play, basically after I get this rant over with, which I promise I'll try and keep this rant short for the sake of my guest. And it's a surprise, but without further ado, I want to pick up where we left off. Bob Dole, apparently, who is the oldest, I think he makes Bernie Sanders look young. And just to put it mildly. And this guy is endorsing Donald Trump, so yeah, it's terrific. So Bob Dole is endorsing Donald Trump because he believes that Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio are both too far to the right. This should be good.
Bob Dole endorsing Donald Trump over Ted Cruz.
Well, I won the caucuses twice, and I still have a lot of friends in Iowa. They've gotten a little older, but still have a lot of friends. I'm a conservative. As I said, I'm a Grassley earned conservative, and during my 28 plus years in the Senate, I had a strong conservative record. But that's not good enough for Ted Cruz, who wants us to be on the far, far right. And there are some people out there. But what's he going to do if he's elected? He's going to cost us wholesale losses in the Congress and governors and state legislatures.
But how do you know? How do you know? One of the things that he brought up is, does Bob Dole really prefer a Donald Trump to me, that he thinks I will be more disruptive than a Donald Trump? You say what?
Well, I want to reiterate, my candidate is the best qualified in the group, Jeb Bush. But if it's come down Trump and Cruz, I would vote for Trump. I think he's a negotiator. He knows many members of Congress. In fact, he's contributed Democrats and Republicans. He's worked for Democrats and Republicans more than I can say for Ted Cruz, who's a lone ranger in the Senate. His way or the highway, or shut down the government. Certainly doesn't do anyone any good and costs millions of dollars with a lot of good federal workers out of work days or weeks.
Okay, now that is Bob Dole lamenting about how great Donald Trump is as opposed to Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz. I almost fell asleep there just because I was so bored to death by how old that guy sounded. I kid you not. And Shapiro's reaction is just about the same as mine. So here is Shapiro's follow-up to Bob. Here is Ben Shapiro's reaction to Bob Dole's endorsement of Donald Trump. And seriously, Trump is a con man. And while I'm bringing up our next guest, I will be playing a montage of all of the counterintuitive things that Donald Trump has said that really conflict with each other. But anyway, here is Shapiro on Dole's endorsement, cut number 3. Go.
Boredom, which is why we were actually going to perish before Bob Dole, which would have been a shock since no one in this room is above the age of 40. So it's in any case, there's Bob Dole endorsing Donald Trump and endorsing him specifically because Cruz is too extreme and Donald Trump will work with the establishment. You getting all this, folks? Donald Trump, your anti-establishment champion, the guy who's going to go in there like a bear in a china shop, a bull in a china shop. He's going to break things. He's going to make America great again by saying stuff and making deals. Bob Dole just said, he's my kind of guy. Bob Dole. Bob Dole. Bob Dole. He's like Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Bob Dole. Okay, so all of this is to say, again, vote for who you want to vote for. But please, for the love of God, would you please take a look at who the people are that you are voting for? The slavish worship of any candidate is bad. I mean, I've spent time on this program. I've spent time on every program I've ever done saying that Ted Cruz is the guy who I like in these primaries. Ted Cruz is not an ideal candidate. Ted Cruz has lots of holes as a candidate. He's got lots of problems as a candidate. But I understand where those holes and problems are. What I can't deal with is the dishonesty of people who are pretending that Donald Trump is going to get in there and somehow be any sort of conservative. He isn't. He just isn't. In a minute, I'm going to talk about questions that I have for these various campaigns. But I just wanted to go through that because I think it's important for people to understand why it is that Donald Trump is not who you say that he is. Okay, he's not who you say.
Yeah, and that's very true. Donald Trump is not who he says he is. He's not a true conservative. He's contradicted himself every step of the way. And also, keep in mind that, folks, that the establishment, when Trump first came in, they hated Donald Trump so much that they were trying their best to somehow ram Trump out of the election with the use of Jeb Bush, which is hilarious because Jeb Bush is Jeb Bush, and really I don't need to say anything more about that. As far as Trump goes, he contradicts himself at every turn. And I've used this clip before on my blog, but I want to play it here on the radio show just because the contradictions that Trump makes compared to what he's saying now is just stark. he is still a liberal in conservative clothing. No doubt in my mind about that. Anyway, we have a special guest coming up, and while I'm playing this clip, I am going to cue our guest up for the program. So after the clip ends, I will conclude my rant about Donald Trump, and then we will have our guest on. So without further ado, this is the montage of Trump contradicting himself. Cut number 4. Go.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody.
Well, who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it. The government's going
Socialized health care.
Would raise approximately $5.7 trillion.
In many cases, I probably identify more as
He wants to raise taxes.
The concept of guns, I'm not in favor of it.
Why are you joining the Reform Party?
I really believe the Republicans are just too crazy right. I mean, hey, I lived in New York City and Manhattan all my life, okay? So, my views are a little bit different than if I lived in Iowa, perhaps.
Partial birth abortion. Would President Trump ban partial birth abortion?
Well, look, I'm very pro-choice.
But you would not ban it?
No.
Or ban partial birth
No,
abortion?
I am pro-choice.
Yeah, he's the biggest pro-life candidate out there, according to his
Who do you think
supporters.
would be the best qualified to make a deal with Iran?
Hillary's always surrounded herself with very good people. I think Hillary would do a good job.
Make a deal with Iran.
Well, I think Hillary would do
But
a
Hillary's an awful person, according to
And I'm
him
very impressed by her.
now.
I think she's a very impressive person. I like her a lot. She was going to really look to impeach Bush and get him out of office, which personally I think would have been a wonderful thing.
Impeaching him?
Well, I thought he did a great job tonight. I thought he was strong and smart, and it looks like we have somebody that knows what he's doing. And it's a strong guy who really knows what he wants, and this is what we need.
Hillary's a great friend of mine. Her husband is a great friend of mine. I think Hillary is going to take it, and I think Hillary is very...
All right, so enough with the clip. You get the idea. The man contradicts himself all the time, and so over the past couple weeks on Twitter, I have simply been asking, and on Facebook, what makes Donald Trump a conservative? And I have repeatedly been attacked by his supporters who want to attack my IQ and who have called me names and who have apparently made fun of the fact that I'm a college student because apparently college students can't be interested in politics whatsoever. I don't understand that logic coming from Trump supporters. Is our hatred of Obama so big that we're so great that we're willing to basically bring Barack Obama light into the picture as a Republican and make him our nominee? I'm just asking because that's the way it seems. Alright. Yeah, you angry Trump supporters, you get back to me on that on Twitter. In the meantime, I have a very special guest joining me on Skype right now. I gave him crap for not being here earlier, but he decided to join me on the program. Jeff Hamill, welcome back to the Field Analysis.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be back. I'm sitting. It's already dark out right now, and there's obvious marijuana usage down the hall that I can smell in my room. So it's good to be back.
So are you getting high off the after fumes?
Secondhand smoke? I don't think so. I don't think it's that strong. They probably have mids. Let's be honest. We're all college students, but probably not.
So how have you been, my friend? Things. The last time that you and I talked on air, there was a big mystery about kind of what was going on with you, and so I haven't been on air since you came out initially, but that's happened, I guess.
Yeah.
So What are you up to now? Are you still doing a podcast? How is your life basically going?
Well, before we get to that, I just have to mention I Google searched Bob Dole during that interview, which, by the way, it was very, very boring. He looks exactly like Senator Palpatine. Like, and I'm not talking about like good Senator Palpatine. I mean like after post electric shock Palpatine. We shouldn't trust this man and his endorsements because of that alone. Because I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting a galactic empire pretty soon. No, I'm kind of joking. Also, Ben Shapiro sounds like a 16-year-old who just hit puberty and found out the fact that his balls just dropped. So, F you, Ben Shapiro, and everything that you say. However, I did agree with mostly everything you said in your 2 clips, which I'm actually surprised I didn't vomit listening to because I hate Ben Shapiro. And I actually blocked him on Twitter because I hate him that much.
Well,
anyway.
This is actually a question that I want to get to. Why all of a sudden do you have such a strong disliking for people like Ben Shapiro, who I might add once sat in the guest chair, sort of, that you now find yourself sitting in, sort of?
I don't hate people like Ben Shapiro. I just hate Ben Shapiro.
Why?
Because he's a douche. He's on Twitter and he just says the most asinine comments that you could ever see against people. He doesn't understand minorities at all. He doesn't understand people's civil liberties at all. And everything that he says on Twitter, I just want to vomit. We're just reading. I agree mostly what he's saying with big government and people who are Bob Dole saying, oh well, these people are too right, and he's gonna work with the people and do all this stuff. I don't agree with Dole's. I'm trying to get the words to say with his endorsement. That's it. I'm not agreeing with his endorsement. I am very actually agreeing with Ben Shapiro. I just think that Ben Shapiro doesn't know anything about social issues, and he's very asinine about them. Plus, he really likes. What's his name? Nero. What's
Milo Yiannopoulos?
Yeah, I don't like Milo either.
What? But Milo, man, Jeff, I
agree with what he says about like actual like what feminism actually quote unquote actually stands for, meaning like what the media says it does, but when he actually gets into the meaning behind feminism, he completely gets it false. He also doesn't agree with any form of I don't know. I could just go on about race and sexual minorities and gender minorities that literally I'll disagree with the most conservative of conservatives and even some moderate conservatives.
Well, but see that's
why I'm a libertarian.
See though, that's the funny thing about Milo or however you want to pronounce his name, is he is probably the most flamboyant gay conservative out there.
I find his tweets extremely funny, especially when he talks about black men. That's funny.
Yeah. I have to be careful what I retweet, because whenever I tweet something, it ends up on Facebook, and so a lady friend I have, I think you know who I might be talking about. She was messaging me on Facebook, and there was like, why is there a picture of Milo Yiannopoulos getting gangbanged on your Facebook?
I have never seen this picture. Let me give it 1 second.
Well, and I'm like, I really don't know. Oh, Zach has a question for you, which is, why hate people you disagree with? Which, again, I don't think you hate people you disagree with, but,
I guess the word hate for me is just a filler word. Like, I literally do not hate these people. I don't wish bad things for these people. It's just a filler word that I use instead of something that's more correct or more accurate. Again, I don't hate people's opinions. People will have opinions, and that's one of the things that I'm like, I do here at school is listening to people who I disagree with, who like really say shit that I disagree with. I'll listen to it and I'll completely be like, yeah, I don't agree with anything you're saying, but I don't hate you as an individual because your point is valid. Even okay, so earlier in the show you were talking about who I think it was Marco who said that he would watch over specific mosques. I don't like that idea at all, not even in the smallest bit. Westboro Baptist Church, everyone is cool with them saying the crazy messed up stuff they do about they're not even just gay people, like soldiers and stuff. Everyone is against them, but we all allow them to practice whatever religion and whatever practices that they want to. But then Muslims, who are a little bit different than us, who don't believe in the same God as us, although they do, they're different than us so much that we have to watch over them. I really hate that idea of watching over people because they're different than us. And again,
I think you might have missed this segment though, where I talked about I have no problem with the mosques that are out there as mosques. What I have a problem with is kind of the mafia style like storefronts that they have like. They're not even like really official mosques. They're more like, back room type deals. And I have a huge problem with Westboro as well. The issue is that Westboro hasn't militarized yet. So there's no really, and I'm sure Westboro has gotten arrested. So I don't think anyone likes Westboro. But
the thing is, like, did you don't view my Snapchat very much? How many gay people are there in the United States?
I don't know the exact figure, but I know it's
go ahead.
I know it's something like less than 6% of the population.
The best guess estimate is between 3 to 5% of the U.S. population. How many Muslims are there in the United States?
Less than 1%.
0.9%. So we're really going through all of this hassle with and if I'm not even. I was gonna say, even if it helps with defending one terrorist attack, I don't even agree with that. Like 0.9% of the population. We're worried about 1.8 million people. And of those millions of people, we're worried about 0.25% of that. Like literally 0.001% of Muslims are extreme in the United States. While the United States has military compounds in the middle of Qatar, our largest military base isn't even in the United States. What if ISIS, going extreme with this, not even the Afghani army, but ISIS itself, what if they just had their biggest military base in the middle of Arizona? We would be up in arms, but why can we do it in Qatar? This is one of the reasons why I really like Rand Paul, because he was like, I kind of want to cut the military, and I'm a huge military supporter, but I think we're way too big.
Well,
I just think it's intruding on way too many people's rights.
Hold on. ISIS is not a nation. They're a militant group. So the logic that they would have a military base in Arizona, even in theory, that couldn't happen. I get what you're saying, but I don't agree with that. And funny enough, your whole point about cutting back the military, I agree with that actually. But you want to know how we cut back the military? We give the CIA, we give Black Ops, we give all those guys all the spying tools so that they need, so that they can spy on suspected terrorists. And by the way, these aren't individuals who are just saying anything. The CIA, I've talked to a couple retired intelligence military guys. They look for specific keywords, and then they triple check whatever these people are saying. before they do anything. So, in a way, I think the biggest asset would be to not necessarily spy on everyone, but to make sure our intelligence community is more, has more of a target area to surveil so that we can cut back the military itself.
I just really, really hate the idea. And the whole ISIS thing was an extreme example. I wasn't saying that ISIS is a country, which it's not. I'm not trying to say it is at all.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, what if our biggest enemy, like that's an actual country, would have a military base in our area? And we're not even the biggest enemy with Qatar either. Like, it's just our military is way too big. I just don't know. But if you want to go back a couple of steps, by the way, I went on Tanira's Twitter. He does tweet some of the funniest stuff on Twitter. So if you just want some comedy, you can go ahead and follow him. If you want a 16-year-old kid who has a podcast, go to Ben Shapiro's website. But going back,
oh no, I thought you were going to mention the other guy.
I think he's 17 now. I think he's almost able to vote.
Oh dear God. Well, my friend Luke still thought he was 12, so
I'll find out. Hold on, I'll find out. Is it just that, or is it? Yeah, that's it. I don't know. Isn't he a really big and we're talking about Calgary. Yeah, he's a big what is it? Donald Trump fan, isn't he?
Yeah, which again, this goes back to my whole point about Trump, not specifically to pick on Calgary, but just in general. Trump is the least conservative guy out there, and yet he's essentially a left winger, and yet like so many Republicans, quote unquote Republicans, are backing him for whatever reason, and they're attacking Rand Paul, they're attacking Marco Rubio, they're attacking Ted Cruz, which I don't really. I mean, I know that you're not a big Ted Cruz fan, and neither am I. But I mean, Ted Cruz is not the horrible human being that Donald Trump, says he is, and neither is Rubio. So neither is Bush, really, even for that matter. Trump's just out of control.
Yeah, Trump's out of control. I don't like Cruz in the slightest. He just says a lot of the most crazy stuff. Like going back to religion, he was at a huge, I think it's like one of the largest, not one of the largest because I think Creation Fest would destroy it, but one of the largest like fundamental Christian conferences. It was him, Huckabee, and the dude from Louisiana, Jindal.
Oh yeah.
They were there, and the guy who was like headlining it was extremely crazy, and he said a lot of crazy stuff, but yet all of the people, even when they were asked about the information that he was saying, they still went to it. And an interesting thing about Donald Trump, according to LGBTQnation.com, during an interview with a lesbian reporter, Donald Trump said on when was this? It just says in New Hampshire, I think it was the other day. He said that he would support LGBT rights if elected, which would be a huge thing to bring up to Calgary, which would be very interesting to hear how his opinion would sway. Because he's one of those people, like you said earlier in the show, don't be a one-issue voter. I'm not a one-issue voter. Like, if
right.
A candidate would say, I love, if I'd agree with everything that they ever said, but one thing, that would be a consideration that I would make, but I think that one thing wouldn't be a big issue. I think that's why I'm still voting for the GOP, because I'm not a one-issue voter. But I'd be very interested.
And neither am I. And just to be clear, I think a lot of people don't think I like Rand Paul. I love Rand Paul. But the problem that I have with Rand Paul is that he's a bit too isolationist for me, like his father is. Fortunately, he's not a tinfoil hat guy like his dad is. And fortunately, he doesn't associate with Alex Jones. I wanted Rand to do better in the
me too.
In the caucus, but I think Matt Dallas brought up an excellent point, and this is the one thing that really does kind of frustrate me about some of Rand's supporters is Matt Dallas said very wisely the other day on Facebook, when you have less than 5% of the caucus, it's time to drop out, and I think Rand was smart in doing that. I think Jeb should have followed his lead, though.
I'm surprised he's still in the race. I really am.
Well, Steven Crowder, I know that you're not a big fan of his.
No, he's even worse than freaking Shapiro.
Which is funny because you know who turned me on to Steven?
Me. Because months ago, when he first started his show on Wham, he was pretty sane. And then he got a little bigger and came freaking bat crap insane, dude.
He is also one of my Twitter followers now, so
I see you two tweet back and forth, and every single time I see it, I'm just like, oh. Sam, why are you going to the dark side? But I guess the dark side is perspective on this issue, because he's not totally evil and awful, and he does say a lot of really good things that I agree with. I just yeah. So, why don't we get back to the question, how am I doing? I'm doing great, Sam.
Yeah. So, so what I have, well, let me put it this way. Let me ask this question. What have you been doing that you can tell us about on air?
This makes me sound like I'm a drug dealer, dude. No, I've just been really my life is pretty hectic. I have I'm in my next semester of school. Like, I'm still at Penn State. I'm doing a bunch of things. I have 5 classes. I'm a TA for a 750 person class took last semester, and I'm also an intern at WPSU TV, which is for our athletic department. So my days are literally insane. As soon as I'm done with this show, I'm going to be doing a Skype call for the next maybe 2-3 hours, and then I might get dinner on 9-10 o'clock tonight. That's just my day. I did not eat my first meal until 3 o'clock this evening.
Holy crap.
Because I woke up at 8 o'clock. I went out to Innovation Park, which is where WPSU is. I was out there until about 1 o'clock, and then I had a discussion at 1:30. And then by the time I was done with the discussion and got lunch, it was 3 o'clock in the evening, or in the afternoon. And now it's 6:30 in the evening, and I probably won't get dinner for another 3 hours.
How do you survive without food for that long? Or
dude, I'm 190 pounds. I can survive 6 hours without food. I'm fine.
Right.
I'm not dying. No, but tomorrow, all day tomorrow is going to be reading and studying for exams and then finishing projects. My friends are like, yo, you should come to a party. I'm like, maybe. I really don't know if I want to go to the party because I really want to get work done.
Right.
So I'm going to bust my butt tonight. I'm doing okay at school right now. It's the very beginning, so it's really hard to determine how well I'm doing, and I'm not going to say, oh, I'm doing fantastic.
Right.
But I think I'm doing okay. I'm mostly sticking to, school. I am doing podcasts still, but I'm trying to do every 2 weeks, but this past week I wasn't able to post the one I have recorded because there's a bunch of mic issues. So I'm working through that, and it's taking forever, especially with schoolwork. But
yeah, I know how that goes. Just trying to schedule this and figure out. I'm still trying to figure out when I'm going to have this regularly scheduled. But we'll see. I did see, however, that you did have time to do voiceover work for one of our friends.
Yes, I did. Actually, a funny story. So Michael Hausum sent me a Facebook message. This was in October or November, and he asked me to do some voiceover work for him, and I was like, yeah, sure, like I'll fix it up. He wanted his intro to sound better, and so like I didn't actually was going to do voiceover work. I was just going to fix like the music transitions, and then I was like, hey, I can't really use your voiceover because it has music behind it. So he's like, oh, just record something. So I recorded my voice and then sent it to him. He's like, I love it. So then he sent me a message like right before I was coming back to school if I could do a voiceover for all of his stuff, and I was like, yeah, sure, like I can do it once I get back to school. Well, I couldn't get into my dorm. So I was living in a sorority downtown, and I legit recorded all of my voiceover work in their dining room.
Oh, yeah, that is hilarious.
Yeah, so it's literally me. I have like the dining room table. I have like 3 mics set up because we were going to do a podcast episode, but we didn't end up recording. But I have like my really nice mic, and I'm just like doing voiceover work right in front of my friend, and she's sitting there just shaking her head. I don't get this whole voiceover thing, but it turned out pretty good. Like,
oh yeah, and I'm like, I'm giving Housem a hard time because I'm like, you owe me a referral fee at least. So
you a referral fee. I need an actual fee. He said something on his chat, like the second or third show that I was listening in. I paid a fortune for those voiceovers. Really? I'm waiting for those payments to come through. Damn it.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He'll be on tomorrow. I don't follow you on Snapchat, partially because I don't know how to use it all that much, but I do follow you on Twitter, and when I say follow, I literally have tweet notifications turned on for you.
Dude, did you see my like Twitter bomb yesterday? I think it was like last night or 2 nights ago.
I think I did.
Oh, yes, he blocked me. He blocked me from Twitter.
I've been getting into skirmishes. This is the other reason why I hate Donald Trump fans, because I'm like, my whole problem with my problem isn't necessarily even with Trump. It's with Trump supporters, because I'm like, can someone please explain to me why Donald Trump is a conservative? Like, what do you think makes him conservative? Well, he's going to make America great again. I'm like, that's not a point. Like, what makes him conservative? And they're like, oh, well, you must just be a Ted Cruz plant, and your blog sucks, and you have an IQ of
7,
like 7 or 6, and you're the most inarticulate, person in the political realm I've ever heard of, and I'm like, yeah, well, what have you been doing? I've had a radio show for, close to 8 years, almost 9 years. I've published a blog daily for about 6 months now. I've written a fiction book. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone else, but as far as experience goes, I'd say I'm doing pretty well in that department. So,
well, speaking of my Twitter, you can follow me at the GHP. My name is Reverend Jeffrey Hamill. I will marry anybody except for the gays, because you guys aren't people, so forget that.
What is the Reverend thing about? I was like, I was like, Jeff did this when he was high, didn't he?
I wish. No, I was literally laying in my bed. I was like, it'd be funny if I just put Reverend in my name, because on my Grindr profile, not that I have it, because I'm, pure. It's not Gay Jeff. That's my name, and I actually got that idea from Steven Crowder's like producer or whatever the hell he is. What's his name? Not Gay Jerry.
Not Gay Jared. Oh, so you do listen to Crowder? So.
I know the dude's name. I don't listen to crap he says. But no, literally, I was just like, I should do Reverend, and I was gonna type out the whole my whole name, like Reverend Jeffrey Alexander Hamill, but it didn't fit. So Reverend or Jeff Hamill.
Well, I don't know if you saw what I did with my Twitter file, but you remember Milo Yiannopoulos got in trouble for Twitter. Oh, Zach says talk more about Caden. That's entertaining.
It's entertaining. It also makes my blood boil. So why don't we not do that?
Yeah. Zach,
we can literally talk about anybody else in the entire freaking world before Caden.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Zach on that one. But no, when Milo was getting in trouble on Twitter, and he got unverified, which, by the way, it's not like he got banned from Twitter. He just simply got unverified. He was making a whole big thing about that, and so I'm like, well, I'm not verified, and they're like, yeah, but you should still do something, otherwise you might get banned. So I put a copyright notice next to my name, and I think it was Steven or someone was like, what? It's like, why are you writing your name? I'm like, that's why I'm verifying myself. So.
No, I literally don't care about my Twitter at this point. It's just really fun. Like the person who blocked me just said the dumbest stuff I've ever seen on Twitter ever, and so I would just quote retweet him, and
Oh yeah, I do that all the time, and they hate that too.
Oh my god, he hates it so much. So if you go onto twitter.com/Alex Minnick100, his title is God, Family, and Duck Dynasty. The biggest thing that made me laugh was he talked about something about fat people and how fat people shouldn't. It was the really fat guy in Team America. He ends up exploding.
Michael.
Yes. Yeah, he's talking about Moore and how he's like, this guy's too fat. He shouldn't even be alive. I was like, I was going to tweet, dude, you're fat too. Like, why are you saying? Which then he would look at me and say, you're fat too. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm at least admitting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some good stuff. And if you have a Snapchat and you snap regularly, I am JHam is my Snapchat.
Yeah, I still need to learn how to use Snapchat.
Literally take a picture, put a caption, and send, and press send to whoever you wish. Just make sure you're careful with nudes because those could come and bite you. As I hear.
Right.
I love because I don't even know if I'm serious or not at this point. Like that's how life is really.
Yeah.
Just kind of living it up. Just live it up and enjoy your life.
Anyway, though, are you still doing? I've got to let you go, but real quick before the end of the program, are you still doing your blog, and where can we find you at?
Oh, my blog, yes, kinda. Just go to my Twitter, twitter.com/thejhp, and you can find all of my information there. Or go to jeffhamill.wordpress.com. Those two websites will help you find all of your information.
All right, Jeff, thank you for joining me, and thank you for supporting me over the years, and we'll talk at you down the road, as Dennis Miller used to say. So,
thanks for having me on, man.
No problem. And, folks, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. It's been a fun 2 hours almost. Don't forget you can visit my website at www.thesamwhitfield.com or just type in thesamwhitfield.com. That's where you can follow my blog, and follow me on Twitter at samdeb_NGC. From all of us here at NGC Studios, have a good night, God bless, and God save this great nation.